be able to access them from anywhere.
Okay.
It's
So
a
you
tiny
suggest
thing.
basically, go ahead, Rasmus.
I mean, it's pretty. Once you have the functionality that you can open, you have a view, then it's fairly easy to have it either in a button or in a menu or whatnot. It seems like a small thing compared to the functionality itself.
I might agree with that.
Yeah.
Though
me too.
I might also agree. I mean, I might agree that it might be useful to have a wireframe so we can make sure, so we can visualize everything to make sure it's gonna work how we think. But if
Yeah,
I think if Dimitrian already understands how Android looks, so maybe he would be the best to do the wireframe for that part of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the place where I'm questioning whether like it even makes sense to keep the current application rather than just make a new one, rather than just refactor everything that we have into different application, basically. Only thing that's useful there is basically the document view, and the rest of the inventory stuff is not useful for this.
That would be disabled
yeah, we're not
as a
gonna make.
module, right?
Sorry, gonna also comment here. We're not gonna make a new app. We just basically made a new app from Xamarin to Maui. We're not gonna go a third time. We have the document view there. We can just duplicate it for separate functions and just make a couple of additions in terms of buttons or mode switches between OCR and barcode, and just make sure it's all configurable from online and make sure the API side is just has all the necessary information given.
So another idea is we could do all of this in a mobile web view. So I mean, then it would work on the desktop or on mobile.
Well, that would be the easiest.
That would probably be a lot faster than trying to. Even though Android is mostly done, I think it would still be faster to do it in web. But I don't know if you.
To be fair, I think you and Rasmus should focus on the web part regardless, but Dima should try to move the Android forward as a separate thing. Basically, we need to make everything that is doable in web should be doable in Android, basically.
Okay. But then it's kind of like duplicating. So in that case, shouldn't we do it for only Android? Or do we still need it in web as well?
That's just
There's
like
stuff that's on the website, there's stuff that's on the Android side, and then it's just, do we do the stuff that's on the Android side as Android native or a web?
Yeah, instead of doing both. But I don't know.
Well, as I understand, the documents only work. The documents only work if they have connection to the web, right? In the Android.
Anyway, yeah, I think.
Well, they are. There is a local database, but there is no like offline synchronization. Like it always connects to the web and updates.
Wait, so
locally.
are documents stored locally?
Everything is stored locally.
Documents are all stored locally?
Yes,
Or not?
everything is stored locally. Documents and assets as well. So
Damn.
it takes a lot of time to log into application and download all of this. That's kind of another point that I wanted to bring in, that we need to optimize it and I don't know, do something about it, because it's annoying.
That's down. Okay.
Can we scrap Android? I mean, can we put Android on pause completely, move everybody over to web and get this done, get everything done in web? Because that would be so much faster, I think.
Well,
You could even do RFID in web, I think. You just hook it up to, as long as you have internet connection, obviously. But if you're
The
trying,
app would use
yeah.
interface with RFID, right?
Yeah, actually, you
I-
could do offline too in web, I guess, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just there's like some Android API for the RFID, I guess, scanner. You'd still have to use that.
Yeah, you can
Behind the web view.
Yeah, you would still need like some software locally to kind of post that information if you're using the trigger.
They
in
could
the
both
web.
post to a server, I think, no? And then they interact with each other based by the server. The RFID scanner can post to the server, and then the web application takes the RFID data from the server.
Well, if you're using it both on the same device, then you just feed it somehow into the web view, right?
Yeah.
Maybe ask
that
the
too, that
client,
too.
call him and ask if the other company, is it providing an app or is it providing a web solution?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be the first fair point to start. The company is called Processa and they're offering.
Generally, I don't like web views in applications on mobile.
Okay.
But it seems like Maui is slow anyway, or like developing .NET on the mobile is just slow anyway, from what I've understood. So maybe it's not that much slower.
Seems to me they're using some type of Zebra app or Zebra like handhelds when we type some type of app. I think an app still makes more sense. I'm gonna share my screen for a moment.
I mean, it would still be an app. It would just be a web view within the app,
Oh,
which you don't know if this is actually.
I don't.
No, I was saying do a web. Do you mean use the browser, or do you mean use an app and do
An app
iframe?
I mean, use an app and then a web view within the app.
Oh. Well, what about the idea for just using the browser in the mobile phone?
You need an app to interface with the RFID hardware on the.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you could use Blazor views, as I
Anyway.
understand, which are now capable in Maui.
Blazor view is a little bit different. It's well, the
would use the
technology
same
is
view
kind
in
of the
Android web.
same. You have like a web view that's rendering the components, but like the components are like you write them on the Android application. It's not like you're going to some URL and rendering what's there. Rather writing them yourself using Blazor.
Well, as I understand, the point is that you could make a view that works for both web and Android more or less, and you would just need to make some additions in the Android.
Well, it's like you could theoretically like make a Blazor component that you could reuse in a web and Android application. That's one way to do it. Another way is like making it fully in the web and just then rendering a URL on the Android, which is like a different thing to do. And like
Well, we understand we need to use the Android now. It's just how is the quickest way to implement the warehouse functionality in there.
Well, couldn't the app run in the background, and it only does and it interacts with the internet and sends on, and then you send the commands through you still send the commands through the mobile browser.
the thing is that this web browser might have difficulties accessing native components and native like camera things and like native APIs. That's what I'm.
My point is that so the Android app, it doesn't have a UI. It just runs in the background, and it can accept commands from the web through like some API.
But the web is pretty like sandboxed in general. Like you don't want an application you open in your or a site you open in your browser to communicate with like other apps you have open on your phone generally. So that's not allowed for safety reasons. Yeah, I don't
No, but
think
if
it
you
makes
set up
sense
an
to move
API from Android,
using just a browser. Like if you have an app running there anyway, then just using a web view is like, it seems to me superior than using a browser in every way. You still get all the updates like that you do to the web instantly in the app. So
true, that makes sense. Yeah.
So let's vote for web view inside the Android app. How does that sound?
I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah, I like. I am against that option because, like I said, I'm not sure exactly whether that web view even can connect to the camera through this application. Like, yeah, like I don't know.
I think it
Blazor
can if it's running
components.
in the app.
Sorry,
If it's a
repeat.
web view
I'm
within the
sure
app,
that
then I
it
think you
does
can
if
have two-way communication there.
Like if one person is speaking, please let's
Yeah.
like respect and honor, and so like everybody can get their words. So please, Rasmus, finish his thought, and then Dima can go.
I finished.
I didn't hear it. Still, I was interrupted.
I think if you have a web view within your own application, then you can establish a two-way communication there between the app and the web view. I think.
I think also. I'm not sure.
Okay,
we can
well,
research
yeah,
that.
it should be doable, I suppose. Well,
What it entails is making online mobile friendly, and stuff like AG Grid really isn't all that mobile friendly.
Oh no, it's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I think we should write out all the different options and kind of just maybe start with the original one and then see how it can be done. This is just my vote. We're having a discussion here. That maybe I'd just take the original direction just to get it all working on the Android as planned, and to see if and to see what are the next options and how they would be perhaps easier.
Did
So-
Arvi have his input in this?
Sorry, you were asking Dima?
Anyone? Well, what was that? Did Arvi like give his input?
I think the option that I would prefer is like keeping the app that we have and perhaps developing like a hybrid app with some components in Blazor, mobile friendly and such. But yeah, it still needs to be like redesigned in a way that like it seems that this particular client, for instance, doesn't need inventory functions at all, so it needs to be all disabled and redesigned in such a way that's like useful for this client.
Just kind of goes against the goal that we have as a company to kind of make this one tool. I understand the Android currently is a bit clunky, but then again, I'm questioning the ability to do a separate app entirely. Like, it sounds like a lot or a big thing, rather than using
Just maintaining multiple apps that work with documents and stuff feels like it doesn't really matter. You can just have one app that has some things disabled, and that's like
Yeah.
Well,
things that are shared between them.
I wasn't even talking about like making a separate application. I was talking about having the same application, but again, like just redesigning it. So like inventory functions, for example, are disabled. If you right now log in and you see home screen, for example, we don't have home screen, we have dashboard. And like, if you scan a barcode on a dashboard, it should be then scan a document instead of the asset. So things like this.
That's all configurability. So that's the highly dynamic tool that you can have, that you can switch between these modes of scanning, whether documents or assets. So
Well, we're
I
not
see
going
this as
to
a
have
strength.
configurability at the first stage. We're not going to have configurability. We just need to make these components for this particular client. Doesn't make sense to me in this short time frame to implement massive configurability for the for the things that we're doing for the first time.
Yeah, and when having said that, then what comes to me first in mind is just actually just having a separate function or like an icon on the bottom next to the home button and search and inventory. Just that would be like stock functions, and you could have those quick functions there. And we already have the document view. We have a document list view basically. So we already have the components basically necessary to do those actions. Now it's just about configuring a few buttons there and making it like the document itself look more or less okay and configurable from the online side. So it's like all of the discussion beforehand like focuses on making new stuff, but like what I'm just questioning that these things are already like done in Android. You have those views. It's just about making a few additions.
We don't have those views.
Maybe
Based on the document that Ben's linked, there is some other views or other functionalities. I don't understand even if that's a document view or some other view. There is like a camera, stream, whatever that means. This is something different entirely.
So maybe Deem and I should work together and make wireframe with for Android, and then talk about this again.
I think let's currently just go over all the views that Dima is having confusion with, because I still disagree. I think we have the biggest views necessary, and we just make additions there. Like the biggest components are already there. It's just about manipulating documents and the data inside, and we can already do that. What am I missing?
Missing the design, the wireframe, and clear definition of what actually needs to be done here.
And I'm asking you to go with me over the details of this document so we can address those issues, because currently.
Well, how are we going to make it into a design?
I would first like you to name out the views or the things that are missing in your eyes, because I currently haven't heard any besides the two that I just named.
I've read a little bit. I made some comments. So first comment that I made is on pick and pack Scanning QR codes of the pallets. Oh, even okay, let's start from the start. Is you log in into application, and I don't know if you do we have a separate module for the inventory?
For the current inventory,
Huh?
what do you mean?
The problem that I'm currently trying to solve is like quick actions versus home screen. So we need to decide what first to display to a user. So what kind of configuration is going to handle that? I'm thinking that if there is like a inventory module disabled, then we can throw the user quickly to quick actions. If document module is disabled, we can throw them to inventory. If they're both enabled, I don't know, maybe we can display some kind of like a new view that has two big buttons like inventory mode or document mode.
Sure.
And then every time user logs in, he will have to go through this view.
Although I'm just questioning it should also be just configurable from the handheld reader settings, what views or modules are available. That shouldn't be that hard to make, right?
I don't think that kind of configurable. Well, I was already talking about configurability based on enabled modules.
Well, yeah, we would be able to configure the modules and what modules are active on the Android. And by the way that they are active, they will be displayed, and you could just have queue numbers for the buttons, so in what order they are. It would be just making one API that is just called the module API or something, or how it's displayed or whatever, basically. And we would need to make this anyway. Doesn't sound like too crazy of a thing, does it?
I mean, we already have some configuration that you loaded up in the beginning, right?
True, yeah. So we could just make
Just
additions
kind
to
of
that API.
Yeah, some module checkboxes. But
So then I don't see an inventory module. So I guess we can add like an inventory module, and based on that, it will be enabled or disabled in the Android application.
There are two kinds of modules. One is the customer account modules, and the other one are actually handheld reader settings, which are basically user-based. But for the start, we could just
okay. Then there is a then there is a quick up option. Okay. So scanning the QR codes of the pallets, he places them on the list of QR codes are added to the document, and the status of pallet asset is going to change to loaded. Okay, need to track back a little bit. Click on orders. List of orders. So he picks the latest one. Are all of the orders like should always be taken like the latest one?
They're in the list. They should be sorted you should be able to configure how you sort it, like by time when it was added, and then you can either sort by latest or newest. So like the oldest order will always appear at the top or something.
Yep, just the document list view.
So they just select the first order.
Yeah, we already have a
then-
document list view.
And then once they've scanned it, then it doesn't show up anymore because it's not in a certain status. It's not in the ordered status anymore.
So yeah, when you open the document view, we have those buttons with photos and labels. So like in general, we would have to make some refactoring for the document view because it's currently only like Pinska oriented, and those buttons are also very Pinska oriented. So so yeah, need to think on somehow on the design, either to remove them or
What does it look like right now?
Well, right now it looks like you have a document, and well, maybe I can send a screenshot. Actually, I have it open.
Yes, please.
It open. Can I share the screen? I wonder if I maybe if I can the Skype call from another.
I can just send the Android APK for Ben's. Actually, you can use it on his phone.
I'm opening my other laptop.
Is Slack working for you guys?
It died once and now it's working again.
Died once, like. Okay.
Or like, yeah. There's 3 minutes or 5 minutes or so where I couldn't open Slack. It just said, I farted myself, I can't.
Hey, Dimas, can I share the views?
Oh, I'm sharing it, yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
I can't see.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. I'm just loading it. Not yet. I'm just loading. Okay. Can you
Oh,
see
man.
it now?
This is the document view.
Yeah.
This is document list.
No,
Oh,
it's
it's just-
a single document.
After you click
Ah,
on the
right.
document.
Right. Cool.
So those are the document rows, supplier.
Yeah, those are document rows. Supplier, yeah, well,
Okay.
this is how it looks like you're selecting a supplier.
I don't see the
Mm.
problem. Why can't we just add a button next to, just add some buttons at the top?
Yeah.
Well, sure, but yeah, need to then remove these buttons.
Why?
Just make the buttons configurable, what is enabled, what is not.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's right now it's
Name?
Pinsko specific. It's Pinsko label specific. So yeah, I guess you just have to change the name to take picture of label.
Like if I'm like taking a document picture, then it's supposed to be a document and not the barcode.
Yeah.
Right?
So the barcode would be another button, and it would say scan barcode, and that would be
Yeah.
under. So you'd have multiple buttons that do different things.
And if you don't have the document scanning functionality, then the button doesn't show up.
Yeah, this was supposed to be configured from the automatic rules, right? That's
Right. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So on what document?
Nice
add what?
fingers you have.
Thanks. Yeah, so this kind of document.
Right.
Right. Well,
Hmm.
I don't know. I heard different options right now.
Can you show the document list view though?
I don't think that we need that
Do
Need
we
what?
have one?
for this client specifically. We don't need to be able to scan the documents.
Yeah. Well, that button should be disabled then.
Here is a list view. So there is a type of document selection and oh, it's not
So you
really.
don't have arbitrary filtering?
There is this filtering by I don't even
By
know.
supplier.
I'm guessing by supplier, yes, but it's kind of
Press the search button.
depends. This is dynamic, right? Not all of the documents have suppliers. So.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the best. It needs to be like optimized. Think it like well, okay. Skip on the topic.
Well, yeah. So basically, it needs to be more like an AG grid list.
Yeah, and that's actually the thing that like development wise will take much more time, I think, because like we don't have any kind of like data grid component for Android with kind of like functionality like filtering, whatever searching, whatever like mass items and like pagination. This is all like just simple elements here.
You have to build it yourself. What if you did it in WebView?
If we did it in WebView, then we would be able to use some kind of component from outside, maybe even AgGrid, maybe
I think we
something
could
else.
use AgGrid. I think we could use AgGrid.
But it's not guaranteed that it will be working very fast because it's like wrapping inside the wrapper, inside the wrapper, inside the wrapper. So maybe it makes sense to make it even manually.
I don't
Have
know.
you researched from the internet some other
It should
components?
be pretty much exactly as fast as the mobile web browser. Right, it should be exactly the same speed. If it's usable in the web browser, then it's usable in the web view.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. But then again, if we're talking about web view again, then it is yeah, we need to at least like make it more look like this other parts of application, which is I think doable. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I guess Skype can't handle GIFs. But what I sent is essentially AgGrid has this way where you can open the filtering tool panel from the right, and that would be more usable on the mobile than the quick
one?
filters in the web AgGrid we have currently. And AgGrid does support touch events and stuff. So if it runs well, then it's usable.
How fast can it test this?
Doesn't seem like it's very mobile friendly, AgGrid stuff.
Yeah,
Here.
not exactly, but it does have the full power of being able to sort and filter everything and be always up to date with What's in online?
The full power.
Well, filtering by
somebody-
anything and sorting by anything.
Maybe somebody built some open source component that implements tables in Maui.
There
Probably
is
not.
something on the web, yes. Not from Maui, I think from Xamarin. But there are a lot of options for the Blazor components, right? So anything that goes on the web goes into Blazor components as well. So that could be HGrid, that could be anything else like MUI grid or some other grid, whatever.
Found
Yeah.
something, not sure if it will be of help. I was just Googling, can we integrate an HGrid data grid with a React Native app?
Well, the React Native app, it's no, it's
We don't have a.
no.
Okay.
But I mean, sorry, I got dropped out for a bit. Hello?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
We're here. So
So yeah, basically the design is one thing, and another thing is also like making sure that the data is actually like the data interactions are. No, that's like another technical thing. Because not quite straightforward how the data flows on Android between different views. So it might be challenging to have like one view in web view or Blazor and like another view in XAML. But okay, anyway, yeah, I think it will be doable, but I would also discuss it with Victor, how he sees it. The question is still like, what would like make sense to implement everything by ourselves in XAML basically, or implement some kind of Blazor component with a already table that has like Rasmus said, full power of filtering and whatever is like needed, kind of manipulations with the table.
Well,
Okay.
using
Some other questions, perhaps.
using just online on the browser. It's kind of it feels.
you must
Of
stop sharing your
course,
screen,
the
please.
phone isn't too slow, but feels faster than the Android app we currently have. The row heights can be adjusted. You can have a filter kind of view. All this could be made mobile friendly if they're on top of each other or next to each other. If the view is small, it would be an interesting project to just make this all the basic views we have in web mobile friendly with the stuff being under under the menu or whatever. Menus almost are already mobile friendly. And to basically have custom views that represent the mobile views that are also usable on the desktop, right? And that are mobile working.
Yeah, basically, if
So,
it notices, or
I
how
don't
about
know.
if it notices that if it's mobile, then it uses the mobile version.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just check the width of the site, and that's all CSS basically. Yeah, you can do it dynamically, responsively. But what someone should test is, I know the devices are pretty slow hardware-wise. They're like the minimal, cheapest Android hardware that you can get for the most part. So we should test if it's usable on one of those devices, like the current online easy grid table. Does it? Is it responsive?
Dimitri, what do you think? Should we go ahead with that?
With
WebView?
WebView that renders online?
Yep. Basically what Rasmus just said.
Well,
Actually, initially, sorry, I'll just get my thought out. Initially, I thought maybe the web view could be kind of optional. One of the tabs that you can choose in the app would be a web view that has like the. I don't know if that's a good idea actually. No, go on, Dima.
I think that if we do a web view on, it doesn't make much sense. We would need to do all the application in online then and render it in Android because of the difficulties of transferring the data between the views. If we only have one view in Android application, we render that, and it's kind of like difficult to pass the data. We'll need to make API points and stuff like this. And also there is a difficulty of adjusting it to mobile version.
I mean, if it's all web though, then there's no API points or nothing. There's no Android view other than the, like, I don't know, main menu or something. No, it wouldn't even have that really. Where the Android app is mostly just a web view that gives some extra capabilities for like RFID readers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the data is just getting streamed in.
Yeah.
And out.
So basically redoing the whole app, right?
I mean, undoing does that more like.
Well, from my side,
I don't think that it would be so straightforward to access like native components out from the online part.
I think it would. I think it actually would.
I would talk to Arvi about that, but it's always like the biggest decision point between like doing the like application and like a web application versus like native application.
So the question is, can you access native components in Blazor?
No, we're not talking about Blazor at the moment. We're talking about implementing everything in online.
I sent like a Slack overflow question.
So basically, it's still WebView.
Yeah,
there is some confusion about WebView. I think that what it means is like WebView is like a browser, and you can put that browser inside the application in the Android.
That much I understand.
Yeah. Well,
because thing is, we have a fairly complicated application in online, and it's gonna get more complicated with stuff like rights per field and there is almost 2 times less work, or like 1.75 times less work if we don't have an Android application and we just have a web application where like you don't have to have a separate configuration page for what fields are displayed in the handheld and in what order or anything like that, or you don't have to
But you still do need that, don't you?
if it's a
Because-
web view, then you just implement it in the web view and you don't have to implement it in the separately for handheld.
But you would want different numbers of fields in the mobile version? Anyway, that's not your point. I'll let you
Yeah,
continue.
well, no, there was a discussion with that wasn't a very good point to bring up, but
I think that you had a different
just
point, yeah.
yeah, just overall like like mass edit, if they wanted to mass edit things in the Android, wanted to just have more capabilities over time, you have to do that to all of that.
Yes, yeah, every time we add capabilities to online, we need to duplicate it in Android. But if we do it in WebView, then it automatically transfers to Android, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So basically, the only question is, okay, then we would have to make the inventory views in online.
The question is whether that the hardware components will be easily accessible, and I don't think that it
I
will
sent the like Stack Overflow question or whatever. It seems like you can just configure or set up a function in JavaScript that if you calls into Android. So wouldn't that be enough? You can send data to Android. Like that you can just communicate with the web view, no problem.
Yeah, I suppose like the web view would have to know that it's opened in Android application, and you would send some kind of data to this web view and like, I don't know, put it as a global state, and then it knows. But how to access then the functions that are in the Android application from the web view, like cameras and you know, buttons or whatever.
I imagine you have like maybe a little bit of custom JavaScript in the application side that you can inject into the web view, where you'll know what device you're on and what its capabilities are, and then just if it's an RFID reader in the JavaScript, and you display a floating button that you can scan a document with or whatever. If it's a regular Android phone, then you can always scan barcodes and QR codes, and then you display that floating button. Like the communication part between the Android app and the web view seems like something that would be a solved problem in all these cases. And then just in the normal web page, you don't display those floating buttons because no Android was detected. The
Yeah,
main
I don't
question in my
think,
head is,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, this is all like this is going to be like custom functionality built on top of built by us basically. The communication layer.
but it seems like it would be very small.
It would be, I don't know. it seems like it's very like technical thing, and like it's gonna be not very straightforward, as I
Yeah,
imagine.
well, some things, it's never exactly straightforward, but as long as you can send arbitrary data between the Android and JavaScript, you can do anything. You know, send back commands, back and forth images and QR codes and stuff like that. But the main question I have is, one other point is that the tablet view would also be automatically just for free. The web view we have already is almost a tablet view, so that's nice.
We have a
But-
working tablet version for tires, basically. So yeah,
I know,
it's
but
just a question of
something
hardware.
fallacy. It's just
So how about
Wait.
this idea? If instead of doing handheld on Android, we start with tablet, then we don't have to make a mobile version either.
Huh. Yeah, the only question I have in terms of porting the app to just be a web view or making another app that's, you know, just a web view is performance. Like how fast is the full page on a slow Android device compared to Maui or whatever?
Why would you use a slow Android device? Why don't they just give them
I
a
mean,
good one?
they're all slow.
I think we
Like
have
the
pretty
RFID
capable
readers
phones
and-
nowadays. If you're talking in terms of the RFID readers, then yeah, we would need to get the web view working there also, because like lots of clients are interested in the RFID part. We haven't. I mean, there are actually these Bluetooth readers, like wristbands, basically. I ordered one. I need to actually check what the heck it is. So I'm trying to move in more free from the RFID handheld scanners per se, but more to be the dynamic that you could have your devices via Bluetooth.
That's also beneficial for us, right?
Why don't we just do that
Our
right
device
away?
can be a bit powerful.
Because we have clients using RFID handheld readers, and we have about 10 of them in the warehouse, and we still the question about how to implement or integrate the inventory function and like the newly designable warehouse functionality.
Why not just scrap it? And I think the development cost would be a lot more than the hardware cost. No, just give them all the new devices.
For sure, yeah.
Sorry, what?
Just scrap all the hardware. Give everybody new tablets with Bluetooth connected RFID devices.
What do we do with the tens of RFID handheld readers that we have? Where do we
Sell
sell
it.
them to?
Sell it on eBay. I think.
Alibaba.
I think
Anton.
development costs are much more expensive than the hardware.
They're
Now
real
the problem is that
expensive.
we have invested in this hardware, and the whole business is based on this so far. So, and we don't have like hundreds of thousands of money laying around that, hey, we decided to pivot now.
I know, but like I said,
I
the
mean-
development cost is more, so you're actually saving money.
I don't know how much is this development cost yet, because there might be issues with connecting the hardware still, and I think this is like important issues. Anything like from touch gestures to Bluetooth to cameras, all the native stuff that like might not be accessible in the browser would be like on us to develop, basically. And we don't exactly know for sure how to develop it.
I vote that this is not a problem.
Well, in theory, it's not a problem, but like it's still a
Because
theory.
imagine a view in the Android where you have a button that opens a camera. that's just a button that opens the camera, and that's more or less the same. You just have a function JavaScript called on a button that opens a camera, and then when that camera finishes, you've taken the thing and scanned the barcode, for example. You submit a event in JavaScript. It's like scanned barcode.
How
Well,
long would
JavaScript.
this
The
take
If
to
anything-
test out?
if anything, okay, I get what you're saying. Like, I could share some of my experiences working in AirPlay, because we had similar approach. We had like this point of sale system, and we built it basically with React, and it ran in the browser everywhere. But like alongside, we always had to have some kind of additional application that runs locally, natively, and provides some kind of like API for this web application that it can use locally in order to access all the hardware. So that was like, I don't know, like cache terminal, like additional screens or camera, or like whatever you can imagine on a point of sale system. And
Additional
well,
screen.
it was pain in the ass. It was pain in the ass, but yeah, it theoretically it can work. Yes. With Android, I think we had an Android application back then, but the management opted out to develop like it fully natively with like not even Xamarin on Maui or anything like that, just like pure Android is C. I think we have C objective. And
Yeah, well,
they tried to do Flutter, like some team did Flutter, but it was very raw at that point of time. It was kind of too early to use it, so didn't go as fast as they wanted to. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that it's like unfamiliar territory here in some way, and it's not going to be as easy and straightforward as like implementing a few JavaScript functions.
Can we test this?
I remember two things you mentioned. One was a cache terminal, and one was, oh, you mean cache like money?
Yeah,
Not cache like cash
I
in.
was
Okay.
cache drawer, like the thing that you put money in, that like in order to control it remote, like from the browser application, you would have like two applications, one running on like a desktop or like
Oh my God.
that connects to the cache drawer or something like this.
And then you said multiple screens, and they're connected to Android, or was that the computer?
No, that was okay. I see that it's confusing. Okay, well, there was like one computer that ran browser, and it ran also a second application in the background that connected this, like that could handle additional devices that connected to this computer, like additional monitor or additional cache drawer, or like scales that you can scale, like put products in and scale the weight. So all of this kind of devices connected to computer, and computer had the application that was running that talked to the browser. In the browser, you had this kind of UI and like all of the stuff running basically on one server for every client.
But it was running in a browser,
Yes.
not in its own desktop application.
No.
In the browser. Well, we have the advantage of running a web view in an application, and the application being able to communicate with the web view. And yeah, I can see some points where it would get complicated, but I can also see how way down the line we might want a highly optimized like native to Android solution. Once like we have figured out exactly what the things are and developments have stabilized. But currently it does seem like the easy path is a web view. And one other benefit we would have is supporting iOS is not a big issue.
Can we write out the pros and cons and the various paths that we have to choose before time is running out? And I'd like to get to some point with this. I'm willing to.
What
do
I can see
overtime
is that
personally.
if the performance is the same or only slightly worse in a web view than it would be in a MAUI view, then there is no benefit to not using a web view.
Well, there is a design and usability, because currently the MAUI view is much more suited to the user interactions than opening a web view.
But if you designed the web view to be identical, would it not be the same?
It wouldn't be the same because you would still miss some touch gestures, but it's not always like the very. You would
Like dragging a
implementing the design on our current solution for the mobile design. It's well, okay, like well, it will take time. It will take time and effort to implement mobile friendly user interface. And that's one of the
Yeah.
goals. Hardware accessibility, design implementation. The benefit is that, all right, we don't then have to worry about supporting two platforms as much.
Yeah.
Performance-wise, well, generally, like application should be more performant on the Android that runs natively. It's more of a question of how we write it, because I don't know who decided it or what was the thought about it, but we have like a full local database on the Android that tries to replicate everything, and that slows it down quite a bit.
That was for like the original asset inventory and stuff, where you might be in a warehouse and the Wi-Fi isn't too good, and then you make an inventory and then upload it later. With documents, it's it would be nice if the data was compressed, actually, to have a full duplicate of the database, because the data isn't usually that big for a single client. Like it's less than 100 megs. But we're not really making full use of that, I don't think.
So not making full use of what now?
The local database and the being able to create documents offline and then upload them later and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
We're not making full use of that. And I don't know if should that be an objective?
No, not
Maybe.
currently, but because it's still a thought, I think, and it's a valuable thought, and it's nice to write it down if we're already thinking about it. but it's like still what still seems like, so the web view using the JavaScript interface, that just needs to be tested. Does that sound like something?
Well,
I feel like actually maybe we should have an Android application for these basic tasks. And then just the client is informed that if they want to do like more difficult, more comprehensive actions like mass editing and viewing assets and sorting them, then they can open it in a browser and make that web like mobile friendly. Like maybe there aren't that many actions you do on a mobile app. You just have that document list. You can open a document, see some fields and some rows.
Yeah, and you just either make new documents or you delete those rows or you edit the information in them via scanning RFID or barcode. It just seems like we currently have this functionality inside Android already existing. It needs to be a little bit optimized. But this seems like the easiest way to actually go forward with this. I'm not against doing innovative solutions, but it kind of, with the time frame of 6 weeks, let's be realistic, like I think it isn't
6
that
weeks,
hard.
yo.
That isn't that hard to implement in Android. But I think half of or like 1/3 of the time would go for experimenting. Well, these are just my fears, but hence I want to conduct an analysis, see some numbers.
We have 6 weeks for this project.
Well, I promised. Well, they didn't promise, but we were talking for the end of November, which has always been the case. We were speaking of 21st, but even if I deliver it a week later, then that would be 28th.
I think just intuition, it's impossible to do it in 6 weeks.
Okay, let's go module by module. For you to complete automatic rules, that's like 2 weeks maximum, right? If we're talking in terms of modules.
Well, I can still break it down. I don't know. I'd have to break everything down.
Because I strongly disagree that it's impossible, where I'm just pointing out that we need automatic rules. We already have documents in the handheld. It isn't maybe the best setup, but it works. We just needs to be like a little bit optimized, and we have 6 weeks to make it work. So just we could manage documents and assets, which we're basically already doing. So how the heck is this like impossible?
We can analyze it. I mean, the only way to know a more accurate estimate is to break it down into the subtasks and then analyze and then break those down into coding tasks, or maybe ask Arvi to analyze the subtasks.
First, you need a design.
Well, first we need the design.
No.
Exactly.
Oh, first we need a plan and the list of tasks.
First we need a plan, and then a design, and then subtasks. Yeah.
You don't even need the design.
Well, we can. Yeah, you can potentially skip the design.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty
Data
straightforward.
drives
It's
the
just a
design.
couple of buttons on documents and just making the document current view is just more like.
Yeah, well, we don't know what buttons are and where they should be and how it should work in our overall design.
How do we not know? We are here. We just went over the list. We know that the buttons
No,
need
we
to
didn't.
scan
We
a QR code.
we discussed another option, how to re-implement
Okay, let's talk about the buttons, because again, I strongly disagree. It seems like you haven't taken the time to either focus or concentrate or like read this through. We just have a few buttons, which is basically scanning a QR code.
I wasn't reading it right now because we were discussing like Android application. Of course, I wasn't reading it. What do you expect? I'm paying attention to what's happening right now.
I'm talking before we started the discussion. Everybody was supposed to read the document.
And I was reading the document and I still have questions and still not clear how it should be. And there's still questions how exactly it should be implemented.
Alrighty. So.
So currently the fastest way to do it is just continue with the handheld, I mean the native implementation. So yeah, if we're gonna do it in 6 weeks, obviously we have to do that. And then, so the next step would be to well, I guess cut out a lot of this stuff. We need to like shrink this down.
Yeah, like less configurations, just things that are needed for this client. And like, well,
Maybe they
basically,
don't. Yeah, we have to think more about exactly how you're going to implement this new table, because that
yeah, the
that could
table
take
is-
that itself could take a long time.
Yeah, that's the most development time that is needed. Like, okay, some buttons, adding some buttons, okay, like deciding where to put them, that's fine. But the table thing is just the only thing that's going to take some more
Wait, so
substantial
what table?
effort.
Just
This
basically the
table?
age grid implementation in native.
No, we're not going to do that. Right?
Like it needs to show the list of orders, and then you need to be able to sort it by date, basically.
You just show that then.
Show what?
A list of orders by name,
Yeah.
ordered by date.
Oh, it's just hard code it.
I mean, by default. And then in the future, you could add stuff like sorting by other things. But
Yeah, I guess, and then so then he would need to add a couple columns, so it doesn't show just the name, and maybe needs to show,
supplier and stuff like that.
yeah, whatever information, order number, customer name. So just add a couple columns there. But
That's yeah. I don't know how this is very built in currently, I think, where it's like displaying the supplier. Well, initially, yeah, you could hard code these columns for the customer, and then ultimately you have that checkbox in online where it's like visible in handheld. And then you maybe just take the first 3 columns of that are visible, configured to be visible.
Okay, well, there is going to be some additions to this view to sort it. Something
so we have
like
to we have to break that down maybe into some coding to a bit more to get an estimate, right?
There are other things.
Yeah.
So if this
On
list
the
has
home
1,000
screen-
rows, does it just display all the buttons
Yeah,
there? Does it crash? Does
yes,
it hotload them?
it rather crashes, I think, but I didn't really try
Right.
to display 1,000 rows there. But
Yeah.
it displays every one of them. Yes, I think Victor even mentioned that it was crashing at some point, and he was also talking about pagination or something like this. But yeah, basically the problems are all with this the fact that we don't have like anything like a age grid on the Android.
Well, we don't need that for this customer for sure. You can show the first 10 as long as they're sorted by date.
The first 100 is fine.
Yeah, we will need at least sorting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but do you only have one document type in here, or can you pick which document type list you want to see?
I think you can. You press
So-
back, right?
As you guys have another meeting about testing in 15 minutes, can we summarize this meeting so we can all have a break? I wasn't planning on taking part of the testing meeting, but what I've heard so far is for the Android, I understand we just need to what is it? Add a few columns and hard code sorting.
No, like this is not all of that. Like we're only on picking and packing. So second point of this process list, and I think we arrived at some kind of understanding of what it is going to be. Yes, with everything, and that there is going to be also a view that is configured based on the modules that goes into either quick actions on or inventory home screen.
I think Bence and Dima should do another meeting sometime
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we can finalize the subtasks exactly.
and go through
Okay.
the different views.
Just to be clear, we now have a path chosen, and we will not discuss this again. This is how we will go and proceed, and just focus on the minimal functionality. And
We will discuss this probably in the future again, maybe.
in the future, by all means, but
for
not in
this
the next
project.
6 weeks.
Huh?
Yeah. This project we're
Well,
gonna
you
do
know,
the
like it's not the only project that's currently on the table in the following 6 weeks. There is also Pinkska. There is also like possibly something that's coming from Sako and ER. There is also bugs that we have like 2 weeks worth of work for these bugs, and there is also potentially deploying Maui application to existing customers. So
yeah. So Anton, please don't take any more job for another 2 months, please.
Oh. Yeah, but basically we have to prioritize all those. What do we need to do first? Sweet.
Yeah, I understand that there are some bug fixes left to be done. But inventory stuff.
yeah, not only bug fixes, like I don't know, logging for production, for example, is missing. And the big thing is also like deploying this application to existing customers. So if something breaks, that we can do something about it.
But if this only has 6 weeks, doesn't this take priority over everything else, and then we drop everything else and do this?
Well, Victor has just a few fixes for the Android that are like critical. As I
But
understand.
he has a few fixes, but there is like a tons of feedback from you that's also like.
And we just need to review that, but we need to review it so that when we also have a list of tasks for this Android thing
Yeah,
now.
right. But I think this is about 2 weeks worth of fixing and additional developments there, and like I don't know, stuff like logging for production that's missing. It's quite important, even though that wasn't like on the critical list to do.
It was just on the critical list, not the critical list.
Finish my thought now, please, since we are running out of time. So we need a view that is configured based on the modules and is showing either inventory or the documents button. So that's
Initially, we need to build this configured by customer name or whatever.
build a what? Sorry, please repeat.
Like you can, well, I guess you can just initially have different views depending on what customer the user is attached to. You just match the name or whatever on the Android side, and then add the configurability when it makes sense.
Yes.
Yes. So basically what we need is user-based views, basically for
What?
That's like a general suggestion.
Yeah.
Don't have to write it down.
I think this is a very important point actually. So
No. It was just a development optimization technique, but we should finish then. I think I want to buy some eggs and.
Yeah. And then Dimitri and I will continue and finish
nice.
breaking this down.
Let me finish my thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you go. Yeah, of course, you go ahead first.
I just wanted to like write out what I think the critical points are, and actually I think user-based views is in an important part, whether it's the Brigadier in Holland, which only needs to just receive the pallet and just basically end the job with it, versus the warehouse worker who's also supposed to receive it and send it out, and well, the Estonian warehouse. So I think just user-based views in terms of functionality is a thing to take into account, and then just to understand that so basically to conduct a list of tasks, this is what I wanted to have as an end result, but we're not so much discussion.
I started on those tasks, by the way. They're in the subtask list that's linked on that document, but yeah.
Okay.
We didn't finish this. We didn't finish the process yet.
So when will we have another meeting? I think you and Dima should have one now that it's clear on the direction.
Yes, I think we
Yes,
should
exactly.
continue discussing it. I think it should be done with design as well, so those custom views are clearly defined. Also, like there is this feedback and bugs, and I think that they also need to be processed for the last 2 weeks. What was there, what was done, and what else needed to be done.
Right.
Yeah, so the question is, when can Dimitri and I do this next meeting?
Can
Do
do
they
it
have to-
late today, or can it be Monday?
Because it's gonna take many hours to finish this.
Depends on your preferences. You could do it like today, very late.
Just
We can skip the weekly recap. I think you guys already all wrote reports. If you have anything to add, if you've done something, please make that also. And from Dima's perspective, I would like to hear if there is any progress on Pinska, but you can write to me about it after the meeting, since you guys have another meeting in 8 minutes.
Right.
So just make
Okay.
some agreement about the next meeting.
okay, but just one last question. Like, are we dropping everything else and doing this, or what? Because that we need to know. Maybe it would help if we have like a basic how much developer time do we have for this project to get in 6 weeks. So that's gonna.
Well, you were already focused on the automation thing, and I have taken into account that Dima and Victor should also be helping to do this on the Android part, but this needs more analysis, and the time that Dima will help you to analyze this, Victor can still do those small bug fixes regarding the inventory stuff, and Rasmus is anyway doing the documents and stock part on the web, which just
Okay.
anyway goes hand in hand with all of this. So basically,
But-
I would say that everything that we are doing just gets to be implemented for this client.
Okay, but Dimitri said Victor still has 2 weeks of bugs.
Well, it hasn't all been estimated, and I suppose I need to, as I said, first let's
That's
create a
my
task.
gut feeling, basically, based on the amount of feedback and what's currently the progress. That's the gut feeling.
Yeah. To be fair, your gut feeling for Maui was also 1 week. Now it's been a month.
So I should say that it's a month instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 months per bug.
No, it was yeah, it didn't go in, like, but it did go in the context that the intuition can be wrong. It needs more analysis.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, we can't drop anything else, right? We have to do everything.
Well, we just as you've already put some things to stages here in the document, we just all that we're doing.
No, I
is
mean for
that,
the
like,
other stuff, like other projects, like you're saying the other projects we need to do.
like what other projects, for example?
I don't know, like the 2
Pinska.
weeks of
Pinska,
bugs and the
for example.
Pinska, yeah.
Well, yeah, I need Dima to finish Pinska stuff. Hence, I would like
Yeah,
to
but-
hear.
Oh, but that's another couple weeks now.
No, it's just getting one document to synchronize to Director and the other one also, and it should already all be done now. It's just a few bugs are arisen.
Yeah, but as
We basically
does
did it
is
now.
it
We
given
ported
to
to
the client?
Maui, and it, like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think it should be that much time, but I would like for Dima to comment.
But as soon as you give it to the client, then the work begins, and it's going to take a bunch of time and attention. No,
Exactly.
No, because the stock incomes were working, and now it's just the same thing for the stock write-offs. They're using the same documents.
They're
Just
not using
different
it in they're not using it in live currently, from what I see.
Yeah.
If they start using it, we will also need some time to maintain it and fix additional issues that comes.
But
Be
fixing those issues will
aware
be
of that.
anyway also in the general development of other documents to be working on Android. So we need to clear all of those anyway.
that doesn't matter. It matters that it takes time and it has to be factored in.
Yeah, as I said, I'm factoring in that we're making our solution more foolproof or work-proof, and this will be needed for Aknaproff anyway. So if we were to not fix those things, then we would need to fix those things for Aknaproff anyways. What I'm saying that all that we're doing is for not only one client, but all of them, essentially.
Okay. Well,
This is what I have been trying to do.
have nothing else. Have nothing else to add. Like the current situation is that there is lots of feedback for bugs that we need to fix for all the clients. I set my gut estimation for that. I believe it needs to be analyzed more and brought into tasks. What we have for Aknaproff, we have to define more clearly what it is to be able to estimate and to factor in also other projects and maintaining those projects.
Yeah, but how about Pinska? Did you have any time today, or what is the status with that? You said something.
Today I was preparing for Aknaproff and having this meeting.
How did you prepare for Aknaproff?
By reading the tasks.
But you sent me a report yesterday. You said that there's still some problems with the OCR.
Yes, indeed there is.
Now, have you guys talked about this? I actually sent it to you last night, Benz.
Oh no, I haven't looked at that yet.
So now there is a question of like priorities, and again, like it needs to be considered that we have additional work, additional tasks in regarding to Pinska that is now like multiple people need to do.
Yeah, we definitely need to wrap up Pinska, and I still have faith that after it. So I would like for you to focus on Pinska, and Benz can analyze and perhaps even get started on the automatic rules. Meanwhile, that can still be done, and then for the Android, let's like take a pause for this, and I don't know, let's then do it next week, and so maybe Dima can actually spend an hour on Pinska today, or I'm not sure what the timeline is.
Okay, but it's possible that what Dimitri and I end up discussing will affect what I end up needing to do for automatic rules. But I guess there is some stuff I can work on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, printing anyway also needs to be done. So.
Oh, I thought maybe we could leave that out for this.
Yeah, for Aknaproff we can leave it out. It's just for tires. It's
right.
Anyway, as I said, more analysis focusing on Aknaproff's needs, and then we can factor in all the rest.
Okay, so I'll just start on automatic rules, and Dimitri and I will talk about it in a week.
Well, preferably on Monday, I hope.
I think it makes
I think
sense.
it should be less because it's all in your head right now.
Yeah, true.
So maybe today's evening actually, and maybe just Dima can do Pinska on Monday.
I think that Monday is the planning meeting, and it makes sense to do the analysis and planning on the planning day.
Works for me.
Sure, let's have you guys think then. Yeah, do it on Monday. Not sure how much of me will be required in that meeting, since most of it will be technical. How much of me will be needed?
Oh, probably we can ask you separately. Yeah. If we have any questions.
Okay, then we just need to figure out how we're gonna do Monday, like who does meetings with who. But okay, well, the testing meeting is starting anyway, so.
Am I in the testing?
I think all of you were, and Arvi is sick, so. Not sure.
I think you should be, Vince.
Okay.
Yeah, Arvi, Dima, Victor, Maxim, Rasmus, Max. You're all there.
Maybe Anton, you can start the meeting and then we can all join.
Sure.
Before you go.
Okay, I will end this one.
All right.